Hi sewing friends, welcome to my sewing room. My name's Beth. If you're new, welcome. I'm not working on my quilt today and I have not been working on it as much as I should have. I got distracted with a project right here. It's called a toothbrush rug. Someone had one at her house and I was very intrigued. So I'm going to share with you my little journey with this new project. Let's get started. Here's a little mat or rug, very much like the one that I saw a couple weeks ago at someone's home, and I tried to figure out how it was constructed. I did a little research, and I'm going to share with you my what I found out and a little bit of how I am constructing these rugs. One word or name for them is toothbrush rug, or a rag rug, an Amish rug, and I purchased this little big, actually, needle on Amazon after I figured out what kind of needle to purchase, and I'm using strips that are about 1 inch wide, and you need sort of a running strip that you don't see, you just kind of see a little bit of it through the knots, and then you need your colorful strips that will be more apparent after weaving this rug together. As you can see, I cut a little slit in both of those strips of fabric, and I'm going to pull one strip through to make a sort of a knot, and the more floral fabric, that white fabric, that's going to be my running strip, the strip that will sort of be hiding in my working strip. I think one of the teachers called it here on YouTube. So I looked up some videos on how to do this after I figured out the name of this technique, and I am putting them on this little clipboard. This is the first way that I tried to put my knots in, was to hold it with a clipboard. This technique worked pretty well to start my little rug, but I eventually took out my knots and began using a wool mat like one of the instructors here on YouTube was doing with her rug. So after putting about 5 knots in my fabric, I turned it over, and you continue to make knots, but after you turn it over, you have to catch the that running stitch in your knot. So I'll show you in just a minute. I'll slow this down and show you how I did my knots. I did end up taking out the knots. This is really the trickiest part of this technique, is doing the first couple of rows. So I have my running strip going straight down, and this blue is going to be the piece that I work with. And I went under, well, I made a C, and then I take my needle under the running stitch or the working strip. I don't really know the terms for all of these. I went under that strip and went through the C, and I pulled, and I need to leave. I don't want to pull too tight because I have to go back into those little knots, I guess, and add stitches as I work around my rug. So I'm gonna put in 5 of these knots before I turn my project over. All right, now my project is upside down, and my working strip is there on the left. Now I'll go through that first hole under the working strip and through the then over the top of my blue strip there, and I'll put a knot. So I have to go through one of the loops on the right under the working strip that I'm using and tie another knot, and this will be the center of my little rug, and I'm shooting for sort of an oval shape for my rug. Once I get to the bottom, I have to turn it again, but I do need to add an extra knot. So when you go around a circle to account for the curve, you need to put 2 knots in the same loop. As it gets bigger, there are outside curves. For me anyway, I'm making an oval shape. So if you can imagine an oval shape, sort of outside the curve, there are 4 corners of the oval. I'm adding 2 knots on each of those curves. I'm going to leave links below of the videos that I watched to learn how to do this. Now the teachers that I watched really knew what they were doing. I am just learning, and I'm having fun learning, and my little rugs here are not going to be as exact as theirs, but that's okay. I really like learning things like this and figuring out ways to use these leftover fabrics and make something practical for my home. Now I showed you how I'm beginning one, and here is the first one I started that's getting a little bit bigger. This is going to be a chair cover for my kitchen, and I would love to have 4 of these. This one is taking a little bit of time, and it surprisingly uses a lot of fabric. I knew that it would use a lot of fabric, but I'm kind of surprised how quickly I run out of strips. I'm coming up to a curve right here, and what I've been doing is as I get close to that curve, I choose one of those loops and I put 2 knots in the into one loop to get around that curve and add the stitches that I need. There is one of the videos where someone has actually figured out the number of stitches, and they add 2 stitches in some different loops, and you have to kind of follow a pattern, and I did not want to do that, so I've just been eyeballing it, and it's been going pretty well for me. Here's one of my almost completed chair cushions, mats, small rug. I like the way it looks, and I hope to make some more for my kitchen, and I'm going to keep working using some of these leftover strips from quilts and other projects. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.